What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a hero deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because we just got Destiny Hero Malicious back to 3 on the most recent list. I'm super excited to show you guys this list, so without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description for every single video, getting a signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Stratos. Stratos is definitely a 3F in the build because this card is, I believe, it's normal or special summon. You get to add a hero monster from your deck to your hand, which is a crazy powerful effect to be able to add your copy of Vision Hero Pharaohs from your deck to your hand, or a card you want to discard for Pharaohs if you already have it. This card is really good as a 3 in the build. You could probably play 2 copies in the build because we do play a Hero Lives in the build as well, but it's just really awesome to be able to see this card in your opening hand, which is why I've always loved playing 3 Stratos. We then play 2 copies of Shadow Mist. Shadow Mist is really good as a 2-of in the deck because this card has the ability, if this card is special summon, you can add a change quick play spell from your deck to your hand. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to add a hero monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of Shadow Mist, but you can only activate either or this card's effect once per turn. You cannot get both effects. But this card is really good to be able to use with your copy of Pharaohs, to be able to discard this card to the graveyard and use its effect to be able to add your copy of your hero monster from your deck to your hand, or even send this card to the graveyard with Vion to be able to get a search of a hero monster. We then play a single copy of Liquid Soldier. Liquid Soldier is a great 1-of in the build, but you only need a single copy of this card. It's a really good combo piece because if this card is used as a fusion material and it's sent to the graveyard or banished for a hero fusion summon, you actually get to draw 2 cards and then discard a card, which is an insane effect just to help us dig into the deck for more combo pieces and more hero cards. We then play a single copy of Elemental Hero Neos. Neos is really important as a 1-of in the deck, but you never want to see this card in your opening hand because it's a little bit of a brick in your opening hand because this card is just a vanilla monster, but you want to be able to use this card with your copy of Elemental Hero Flame Wingman Infernal Rage with your copy of Favorite Contact to step into a copy of Shining Neos Wingman during your opponent's turn to pop multiple cards on the field and go in for game on the follow-up. So this card is definitely a 1-of in the build. We then play 3 copies of Destiny Hero Malicious. This card is insane that this card is back at 3. This card is so powerful and has the ability you can banish this card in the grave to special summon another copy of Malicious from the deck, which is such a powerful effect to help us fuse into other cards and help us go in for link summons. This card is so cool in the deck as a 3-of, and it's amazing that this card is back at 3. Will it stay at 3 forever? I don't know. It might go back to 2. It's kind of good at that, going between 2 and 3 copies all the time, but for now, enjoy it. It's at 3. This card is amazing and just helps out with so many different combos for the deck. We then play a single copy of Denier. Denier is really good as a 1-of because now this card is like the 4th copy of Malicious, with the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you get to take a Destiny or monster from your deck, graveyard, or that's banished and place it on top of your deck, meaning this card can recycle your copies of Malicious, which is really cool to be able to do. Also, this card has the ability, if you have a Destiny or monster on the field or in the graveyard other than a copy of Denier, you can special summon this card from the grave, but you can only use that effect once per duel. We then play a single copy of Destiny Hero Plasma. Plasma is definitely a 1-of in the build because this card does require 3 tributes to be able to special summon this card from your hand. It's a 1-sided skill drain, and it's kind of like a copy of Relinquished all in one. And you can actually take an opponent's monster and equip it to this card, and it will gain half the attack points of that monster, which is insane. Usually when you put this card out on your side of the field, you're probably going to win the game because your opponent's going to have a tough time outing this card because it is a 1-sided skill drain. We then play 3 copies of Vision Hero Pharaohs. Vision Hero Pharaohs is probably the 2nd most powerful card in the entire deck next to your copy of Stratos in terms of searching cards. Is this card has the ability you can discard one other hero monster to special summon from your hand, or to special summon this card from your hand, and if this card is normal or special summon to your side of the field, you get to place a Vision Hero monster from your deck in your spell and trap card zone as a face-up continuous trap, which you're always going to put your copy of Vision Hero Increase in the back row because it has an amazing effect that when it's in the back row, treat it as a continuous trap card. You can actually treat a hero monster to special summon this card, and if it's special summon from your spell and trap card zone, then you actually get to special summon a level 4 lower vision hero monster from your deck to your side of the field. I always love playing 2 copies of Increase because if you open up a copy of Increase and you're only playing a single copy in your deck, you're basically turning the entire Vision Hero package off for the deck because you cannot put it in your back row anymore because Vision Hero Varus will not have a target in the deck to be able to put in the back row besides your copy of Vion, and you really don't want to put Vion in the back row. So I feel like 2 copies is the perfect number for increase in the deck. For our copy of Increase, we're also playing 2 copies of Vion. Vion's basically like a walking Foolish Burial for the deck, with the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you get to send a hero monster from your deck to the graveyard, like your copy of Malicious or a copy of Shadow Mist to get a search, which is just really cool. And this card also can search Polymerization from your deck to your hand by banishing a hero monster from the graveyard, which is such a cool ability to instantly get to a copy of Polymerization so we can go in for fusion plays. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Rhoda. Rhoda is really good as a 1-of in the build because it helps us get to a bunch of our hero monsters, like our copy of Stratos, instantly from our deck to our hand so we can start going in for all of our plays. We can play a single copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is a really good 1-of in the deck to be able to send our copy of Shadow Mist or your copy of Malicious from the deck to the graveyard so you can start getting searches or bringing Malicious to your side of the field. We can play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is just really good to be able to play in the deck to basically stop your opponent from hand trapping you or going in for all of your plays. We then play a single copy of Miracle Fusion. This card is great in the deck and is searchable off of Sunriser, which is why I play this card as a 1-of in the deck, because it is searchable. This card actually lets you banish the fusion materials from the graveyard to summon out a hero fusion monster. We then play 2 copies of Polymerization. I feel like 2 is the perfect number for Polymerization in this deck, because this card helps out a lot overall to help you go in for a bunch of different fusion plays. It is searchable off your copy of Vion, but it never hurts to have an extra copy of Polymerization. And this card is one of the powerhouse spells of the deck to help you step in for so many cool plays, which is why I love playing this card as a 2-of in the build. You can use this card to step into cards like Trinity. You can step into cards like Destiny or Destroy Phoenix Enforcer if you don't open up a copy of Fusion Destiny. There's just so many cool plays to start your plays off with a copy of Polymerization, and it's just a really good combo piece in the deck. I feel like 2 copies is the perfect number because I played it at 1, I've tried it at 3, it's not good at 3, and it's just not enough at 1, so I always keep going back between 1 to 2 copies in the deck, and I really like in this format, especially with Malicious at 3, I feel like 2 copies is perfect. We then play 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talents. Tactics Talents at 2 in the deck is really cool because this card either lets you draw 2, take control of an opponent's monster, or look at your opponent's hand and choose a card from it and shuffle it into the deck. If your opponent hits you with an Ash Blossom on the normal summon of Stratos, you can use this card during the main phase to be able to look at your opponent's hand and look for a copy of Nibiru, because usually the only way that your opponent's going to stop this deck is with a copy of Droll or Nibiru, so you can look for that copy of Nibiru to put back into your opponent's deck. We then played 2 copies of Thrust. Thrust is so powerful because there's so many different cards in the deck that you can get to, like a copy of Polymerization. You can get to your copy of Talents. You can get to Foolish Burial. You can get to Rhoda. Any of those cards you can get to with your copy of Triple Tactical Thrust. And this card can also help you get to your copy of Fusion Destiny, which is insane. So we can step into a copy of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, which is just so powerful to instantly get to Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer with a copy of Fusion Destiny, because that card is so hard for your opponent to deal with. We then play just 2 copies of Mass Change. This card helps us step into copies of our Dark Law, which is why we play this card as a 2-of in the build. I have bumped this card down to 2 in this deck, but I feel like 2 is totally fine for this build. We then play 3 copies of A Hero Lives. If you don't control a monster on your side of the field, you can actually pay half your life points to special summon a level 4 lower elemental hero monster from your deck to your side of the field. We can summon out our copy of Shadow Mist or a copy of Stratos directly from our deck to our hand. You could summon Liquid Soldier, but I wouldn't with this card. But it's really good to be able to just instantly get either a copy of Dark Law on your side of the field because you're going to get a copy of Match Change, or you can get your copy of Stratos to get a search, which is just really cool about this card. We then play 3 copies of Fusion Destiny. Fusion Destiny is so powerful to help us step into our copy of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. It does lock us into Dark Hero monsters for the rest of the turn, so you're usually going to want to activate this card as the last card in your hand, but it's amazing in the deck to help us get our cards in the graveyard, especially helping us get our cards from our deck to the graveyard, because you actually use materials from your deck to be able to fusion summon and Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, making this card one of the most powerful fusion spells ever created. We then play 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet. Droplets. Droplets is just really good so we can OTK, and this card is really good to turn our opponent's field off. We have a lot of resources we can use in this deck, like our copy of Malicious, our copy of Shadow Mist that we can get in the graveyard, that we don't mind getting into the graveyard, and actually helps us to get those in the graveyard. So this card is really good in the deck overall, basically turning our opponent's field off and halving the attack points of monsters so we can go in for game. It's just a really good card overall right now, especially in Heroes. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing a single trap, and that's going to be one copy of Favorite Contact. Favorite Contact is amazing in deck overall because this card helps us step into our copy of Shining Neos Wingman. This card has the ability to special summon a fusion monster from your extract that mentions a hero monster as material, ignoring its summoning conditions by placing the fusion materials mentioned on it from the field, graveyard, and/or banished cards, which is insane. Which is just an insane effect to be able to recycle your resources and summon out an insanely powerful boss monster by putting those materials back, which is so cool about this card. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start with a single copy of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. This card is definitely a one-of in the deck, and it's just such a powerful card because it can pop cards on the field. It comes back during every turn, which is insane about this card, and monsters your opponent control lose 200 attack for each hero monster in the graveyard, which is going to be a lot of lost attack points for your opponent, and it's super easy to summon off your copy of Fusion Destiny, and also its materials are insane. It just takes a level 6 or higher hero monster plus a Destiny hero monster to make this card, meaning you can use your copy of Denier and a copy of Malicious to make this card off of Fusion Destiny, which is so cool. We then play a single copy of Destiny Hero Dangerous. This card is basically walking Foolish Barrel, which is why we play this card as a one-of in the deck. It's really cool to be able to use because quick effect, you can discard a card to send a Destiny hero monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. If you do Destiny hero monster you control, gain 200 attack for each Destiny hero monster in your grave until the end of the turn, which is a pretty cool ability. We then play a single copy of Shining Neos Wingman. Shining Neos Wingman is insane because this card pops multiple cards on the field. It gains 300 attack for each monster in your graveyard and also cannot be destroyed by card effects. This card is so easy to summon out to your side of the field with Favorite Contact, and it's just a really good boss monster overall that ends games. Then play a single copy of Wake Up Your Elemental Hero. Wake Up Your Elemental Hero is really good to be able to make in the deck to OTK your opponent. It's overall just a fantastic boss monster. Play a single copy of Sunrise because it can search Miracle Fusion, which is really cool about this card because it helps out so much in the deck to be able to get to your copy of Miracle Fusion. Play a single copy of Absolute Zero because it board wipes if it leaves the field, which is really good to deal with your opponent's monsters. It's overall a really good target in the deck to be able to make. You can play a single copy of Elemental Hero Flame Wingman Infernal Rage. This card is really good because it can actually search out our copy of Favorite Contact, which is really good, and it can actually tag itself out for another hero fusion monster, which is insane about this card's effect. We then play a single copy of Darklaw. Darklaw is basically walking Macrocosmos, which is insane because this card has the ability you have to summon this card without a mass change card, which is really cool to instantly get this card out on your side of the field with mass change using a dark hero monster, which is really insane. And any card sent to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. And once per turn, if your opponent adds a card from their deck to their hand, except during the draw phase or damage step, you get to banish a card from your opponent's hand at random, which is so cool. We then play a single copy of Masked Hero Blast. Blast is really good as a one-up in the build, basically just to use with your copy of Stratos and Mass Change. We then play a single copy of Vision Hero Trinity because this card does come out at 5,000 attack points and it can also attack multiple times. The only downside is it cannot attack your opponent directly, which is just really cool to be able to summon this card out to your side of the field. It's just an amazing boss monster to make. We then play a single copy of Dread Decimator because it's a good option to be able to make in the deck because this card also, any hero monster it points to gains 100 attack for each hero monster with a different name in your graveyard, and if this card attacks, it does piercing damage, which is amazing. Play a single copy of Wonder Driver because it helps us recycle our polymerization and fusion spells from our graveyard back to our side of the field, which is really cool. Play a single copy of Infernal Devicer to get the exact materials we need from our deck to our hand, which is just really nice to be able to do. And then we played 2 copies of Cross Crusader. Cross Crusader is just really good overall in the deck, especially with Malicious back at 3. This card is link summon, you get to target a Destiny Hero monster in your grave, special summon it, and you contribute a Destiny Hero monster to add any hero you want from with a different name from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool effect. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Heroes before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's such a powerful deck. It's really fun to be able to play. And if you guys were wondering, this is actually a 41 card list, which is really cool because you can play multiple cards in your deck. Like you can play like 41, you can play 44, you can play 45 in a hero deck. It doesn't really matter. The consistency is there, which is so cool about Heroes. So that's it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification, become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.